Welcome to the Autism Parenting Summit, brought to you by our sponsors. Platinum sponsors. Behavior Help. Behavior Help provides positive behavior support services and resources to equip, enable, and empower individuals of all ages. Visit behaviorhelp.com today to help navigate your journey to support neurodivergent individuals. Innate Healthcare Institute. Stem Cell and Functional Medicine. Innate Healthcare Institute is the first clinic in the U.S. to offer live umbilical cord mesenchymal stem cells combined with integrative medicine for the treatment of autism. Bennett Life. Unlock the power of the gut-brain axis. Unique gut-brain probiotics to support mental and neurological health. Blue Balloon ABA Therapy. Blue Balloon is a multidisciplinary applied behavior analysis (ABA) company created to address the needs of those who present with signs or symptoms of autism spectrum disorder (ASD). Gold sponsors. Breeze Airways. Breeze is proud to partner with Autism Double Checked to provide a simple and reliable
Hello, everybody, and welcome to this session of the Autism Parenting Summit. My name is Joshua, and I am the editor of Autism Parenting magazine. So in this session, we are speaking to Dr. Tasnuva Tuna. Now, she's the founder and CEO of the Autism Success Academy. She's going to tell us all about the wonderful work they do at the Autism Success Academy. But she also has a PhD in natural pharmaceuticals. She's a certified pharmacist. She's neurodiverse herself. And on top of all of that, she is an autism mom. Today, she's going to share her story and her tips for autism success. Dr. Tasnuva, thank you so much for your time and welcome to the Autism Parenting Summit.
It's my great honor and pleasure to be here today.
Now, in my introduction, I mentioned a few of your credentials and mentioned your story, but can you tell us a little bit more about yourself and your journey?
Okay, that's a lot like many of the mom who faces. Like, we never thought we are going to be special needs parent, you know? We just expect to be just a regular mom. So what happened was I just did my PhD and I went back to Bangladesh. Sorry, that's when I started seeing his, like delays, because I have a son before him. So I know how to compare between them. And then by the age of 7 months, he had a lot of not really regression, like low eye contact, not being looking at us when we are calling him and whatnot. So I just thought, because I'm a neurodiverse myself, so I just thought maybe he has ADHD, like he has less attention, because I remember my childhood, I had very little interest in the outside world. I was either reading my book or doing my thing. So I was just like, everybody would say, especially my mom, like, something is wrong with your child, my husband, and I would be like, nah, it's nothing, he's just being me. He's just a version of me. So a lot of the time we actually fear what we don't understand. And we have a way of shoving it outside. So that's what I have been doing until the pain was really in the eye and we had him diagnosed. And I tried a little bit of therapies and things like that in my country, but it didn't really resonate with me and the needs that I felt like he had. So I moved on to Canada, and then pandemic hit. I was pregnant with my third. Life was like the whole carpet away from my feet, okay? I fell face down, just like I would say all the parents. Nothing was available, and I had to wear my scientist hat on, and I started finding things for him. That's when I came across the alternative way of seeing autism in a more holistic way. So that's when, his problems that time was he was severely struggling with his speech, no speech at all. He wasn't even babbling. He was self-harming, extremely self-harming. Like every 10 minutes, he would be very angry and anxious. And he would push us, he would push my younger daughter. So it was very risky. He was even trying to run away. So I could barely go to the washroom. So I had to take both the kids inside my tiny washroom because I was in a 1-bedroom apartment that time. And I had to do my business with both the kids inside. And I was crying all day long because this is not the type of life I think anybody expects or deserves. So that's when I was like, okay, so let's try if the therapies are not really there, or even the 1 or 2 sessions per week, not really helping. So I need to learn how to communicate with him to understand what's going on inside of him. Okay. So that's when I slowly but steadily came across the changing of the diet and then working on his elimination pathways and helping his brain to develop. And by that, whole journey, I started growing my Instagram at the same time. It's just me sharing what I was trying with my son, what was working, what was not working, because I know there are millions of parents out there who might want to hear what I was saying. So many of them started like, oh my God, the change that I have been following you for 6 months, 7 months, 1 year, the change from there to now, it's just, wow, how do you do that? That's how Autism Success Academy, was born. And that's how I am now working with autism kids and their parents, mostly moms.
It's interesting that you mentioned initially you thought your child was just a mini you, and not connecting the dots, so to speak. I'm wondering if there was a part of you that was in denial almost. I spoke to a parent yesterday who said that she for quite some time was in denial and didn't want to go through this journey. And I'm wondering if that was the same for you.
Totally. But it took me a while to understand that I was doing that to myself, unless the problem was too much that I could not look at it. Okay. The pain was so much. So God gave us pain so that we know that something is wrong and it needs to be worked on. I'm not saying fixed, worked on or improved. So yes, there was a denial because now I know about, I have got my additional certification on NLP and working through mindset and belief system and whatnot. So now I know what I was doing and what many parents do. So that is, our brain is meant to be, always in survival mode. So our subconscious, we have two minds, right? Subconscious mind and conscious mind. So our subconscious mind, whose power is like 96%, and then the conscious brain or mind is like 4%, right? So the subconscious mind's number one duty is to protect me. Nothing else, nobody else, only me and my survival. So when there was a problem that was overwhelming, what we do is our guards, they close the door. I'm not saying that. It's not happening. If I'm not saying it, it's not happening. It's like turning the other way around. So the thing is, you are a mom, and then it doesn't really work not turning the other way for a long time. So that's when we take our responsibilities in the face and then we start working towards the goal. And in that sense, I would say APM, you guys have been doing a really great job. I read through all the articles every single month, mashallah. Such a treasure trove of information from all the top experts and all the nooks and crannies that we all need to know. Okay. Because what happens is, I remember 3 years ago, always on my phone at 3 a.m. like, okay, the kids are sleeping. That's my time to do my Google search, do my research. Like, okay, what's happening? It's such a confusing and complicated world out there with so many misinformation, conceptions and whatnot. So we all need that authority somewhere, someone who's telling us that it's not the end of the world. Because what happened was, the reason why we closed the door is because we are told that autism means the end of the world, right? So, oh my God, my son has autism. It's the end of the world. I don't want to see it. because I don't have the courage to face it, and that's okay. It's not mom shaming anybody, because I was there, very broken. So which is why we work. I always teach, like, you come first. And we're going to be talking a little bit, peeling a little bit layers in our talk today, inshallah, about it more. But that's pretty much it. We have a way of not looking at the problem, but it's not fixing or solving any of the problems in the first place.
So the concept of Autism Success, you spoke about your own academy, it's Autism Success Academy. What is Autism Success? How do you define it? What factors constitute this concept?
Okay, so let's start with a child who is severely struggling, maybe, tier 2 or 3. He's severely nonverbal, doesn't have communication, doesn't understand the world is existing, not having good health, pretty very basic, or I would say non-existent communication, always in the phone or always in their gadget, and always in a way that the world does not exist. And the child is, I would say, 100% dependent on the mom. So if the mom is not there, the dad is not there, the child is essentially a huge problem. That's not success. So Autism Success is a child. He will be having the neurodiverse brain. We are not saying the brain is suddenly different. What we're saying is, previously I was struggling. The child was struggling to understand where he is, who he is, how to function in the world. But Autism Success means the child is now healthy, happy, he's developing, he's gaining momentum in his developmental milestones, speech, communication, cognition in other ways, social skills, being able to play with people, not running away, understanding dangers and commands. That to me is Autism Success. So a child, we are not talking about curing, because it's not easy. We all know that. It's not about changing the whole thing. It's just mainly giving the child the support by which the child becomes independent in life, just like a neurotypical could. Because I'm a neurodiverse. If my mom and dad, they're still alive, alhamdulillah. If they're not there, I can still survive. And I am doing a lot better than just surviving. I'm thriving. I'm being a leader in my own community. I'm doing my own thing in my own way. That's what Autism Success is. I want to see my son and all the other kids on the spectrum to have similar success, whatever they choose in their life. They want to be an engineer, scientist, whatever. They just be successful in there, and their life gets more easier. Okay? Because as a neurodiverse, because it's hard for neurotypical parents to understand what's actually going on inside their child brain. So when I remember my own childhood, it was very hard. My own mom didn't understand me. So we had a lot of miscommunication. And Southeast Asian parents and Asians in general, they use physical, how to say, not really abuse, but physical means of teaching the child what to do. So a slap here, a thing there, and whatnot. So sometimes that escalates too much and it becomes a trauma. It essentially becomes a trauma because the parent does not know what's going on inside the child. They might think I am being lazy, where else what's happening is I'm not understanding what she was telling me. So I would get a lot of physical, emotional, and mental abuse from people around me, being bullied. And I did not like that. I had a hard time to understand the world. If somebody told me X, Y, and Z, I couldn't understand the command. So I could not follow. Hence, I was told I'm a retard, moron, all of those words. And that really chipped away my self-esteem. And it took a lot of work to bring back some of the self-esteem that everyone deserves to have. So that's why my fight is so much more personal than just professional, because I know how hard it is to be in a world who doesn't understand me. Okay, so I can't keep on saying, advocate about our society, our community, and whatnot, but we are just 1% in the whole world of 8 billion people. So that means we are like 80 million. It's very hard to change 7.2 billion people, the whole world, to be in our way. So what is the easier thing to do? Not easier, you can work through it. It takes a little bit of time and effort and whatnot, but the better way, I would say, or easier way, or understanding where more supportive, is to give your child the, power to be independent, to be successful. I hope that makes sense.
Absolutely, absolutely. And it also sounds like it starts with the parent or the parents understanding. Because as you mentioned, your own mom probably didn't understand your brain and how it functioned.
Mm-hmm.
So it seems like parents must also educate themselves and get to learn as much as possible, obviously from credible sources.
Yes, that's why I mentioned you guys as well, credible sources, because a doctor, I would say, is a doctor who is working specifically on child development, and they're up to date with top-notch recent research, is the person to go. I'm not saying all professionals are equal, because what happens is, let's say when I was struggling with my son, I thought, let's go to the best child psychologist or psychiatrist or child development specialist. So the best specialist is definitely a man or woman in his or her 60s. So when she was studying medicine, the case of autism was not that much available to study on, to read on, to have research. So their textbook did not have that much of ideas and information like this time is happening. So their knowledge is essentially stuck in their age, in their generation, in their ideologies. Okay. So that's why it's better to do our own research, because nowadays a lot of the great resources are available. Scientific research are being written in layman's term, or people like us, we are trying to say, like, yesterday X, Y, and Z was published in this journal and this is what they say. So rather than going through the journal and making like, oh my God, I'm growing a tail, rather than that, you just go through and follow through and try your own best to learn from experts who are in the niche, in the trenches with you guys, and up to date on the latest research, because now research is all about the possibilities of autism. It's no longer a shame, it's no longer a blame game, it's no longer end of the world, because you can do so much for your child if you follow on or focus on his brain development. And every child, their brain needs to be developed, right? And worked on it. So yeah, that's the best thing to do, in my opinion.
I want to get back to this concept of autism success. And it seems in your work, you focus on 5 pillars of success. Can you tell us a little bit more about that? Start by giving an overview of these 5 pillars.
Sure. So what started was a little bit of story would be really nice for the people to understand. So what happened was I was not really focusing on his diet. So when I went to a pretty, established child pediatrician, she told me, like, when I told her, like, my son is picky eater, he's not eating more than 4 or 5 things, and he hates most of the stuff that I cook, even if I'm cooking in the best way and whatnot. What can I do? And then she was like, just give him a life. You don't have to follow that much, you don't have to focus that much on what he's eating, how much he's eating. Just keep him okay. That's good enough. And I was like, wow. So if I was not a pharmacist with a PhD, I was just a mom, a regular mom or a regular dad, I would have believed her. So I would have kept giving my son the same 3 or 4 food, which we know, even in our most layman novice brain, that is not doing anything good to my child. We all know through basic science that human being needs nutrition I just don't understand how nutrition gets subtracted sometimes. Sometimes, not by every pediatrician. What I'm saying is sometimes, and in some countries, because I work with, well, mom from all over the world, from Europe, from Asia, then from Australia, from North America. So I have seen a lot of discrepancies in a lot of countries. Okay. So when I went to her and she was not helping me, and I was like, I need to do something on my own. And then what I did was I, just encountered the elimination diet, and I myself was overweight, very much stressed and inflamed woman. So I was like, let's just work on my body first and see if it's a good thing, because I'm a neurodiverse. If it's helping me 1%, it might help my son 10% because he's smaller and I'm a bigger woman, right? Like I have more problems and he has less. So that general context took me to the diet part. Okay. And then I started changing his diet from the regular one to grain-free, gluten-free, and all of those things. And slowly and steadily, I started seeing improvement in him. But then there would be some improvement, and then there would be just nothing of plateau. Okay. That's when I thought, like, I am hitting plateau means there are more needs of him that I'm not meeting or even understanding. So I need to find an alternative solution. That's when I found an Ayurvedic doctor to work on the detoxification of his body, because I do understand, like we all know, the food that we are eating, even if it's organic, it still has a lot of, toxins and chemicals and whatnot. So we have to make sure that our child's body is being able to wade through all of the junk that it's coming from outside, and also that we are producing. Because there are like two types of toxin or chemical exposure. Number one is from outside, through the food, through the soil, through the air, through the water. We all know about it, right? That's the outside exposure. And then there is the internal exposure. So which is what every human being, whatever their neurological condition, we produce a lot of biochemical reactions, right? And there are like side effects. They are like, stuff that is produced through those biochemical processes. So those things needs to be coming out regularly and effectively. So what happens is a lot of our kids, I would say 2/3, they have constipation. So when you have constipation, just as an adult, when you have constipation, you don't feel good, you feel angry, you feel anxious, you feel like cranky. That's because your body is not eliminating waste properly. So focusing on that detoxification part, making sure your child is pooping and peeing and sweating and playing outside and all those things, that was there. And then I started learning and coming across environmental toxins, how my son is playing, where he's playing, the gadget versus the nature, the sun versus indoor, then the water, spring water versus tap water, all of those things incorporated in his lifestyle, which is the third pillar, the lifestyle part, because it's a very much important topic. A lot of the parents, they say that my son is always on the iPad or watching games and whatnot. So definitely that's not helping his brain development. And we many of our parents don't even know how to work through that, reduce the addiction, or how to help them to understand the play, because a lot of the time our kids don't even know how to play. Right. So that's the lifestyle piece, the third pillar. The fourth is need-based parenting. So need-based parenting is essentially like you being the everything, you being the cook, the cleaner, the healthcare practitioner, you being the therapist, you helping him build his speech, you helping him teach the lifestyle, the self-care things, tying up the shoes, eating themselves, because a lot of the kids cannot self-feed as well, right? Because sometimes kids have all of those cognitive issues that's going on. So that's the fourth pillar, need-based parenting, understanding your child, specifically your child's need, and making the whole environment conducive to those needs. Okay. So for example, sometimes what happens is we adults, we get angry, maybe we go into quarrel, we fight with our spouses, and we don't understand that affects the child a lot. So a neurotypical kid gets affected, a neurodiverse gets affected twice or three times. Why? Because here's the thing. If you close your eyes, you will hear more clearly. Why? Because if one of the sense is not working, the others get more acute. That's the survival mechanism. So when a child is nonverbal, okay, not being able to communicate with the world or understand, then the other sensory senses gets really, up and running. So that child, even though you might think he's not understanding anything, oh, he's just there, he's not understanding. No, he understands and absorbs everything. So that affects the child as well. So I had to work through my husband. I had to, teach him to be on par with me, that no fighting in front of the kids. If we have miscommunication, if we have problems, we will sort it out outside the home, maybe in the backyard when the kids are sleeping and whatnot, not in front of them. So that's a part of like the need-based parenting. So all of these four pillars are for the child. So I have to ensure that my child is having all of these things. So that means I need to have the physical, mental, emotional, psychological capacity and strength to be able to go through all of these things. Because if I don't have strength, if I'm not sleeping well, eating well, if I'm exhausted, stressed, over the top anxious, if I have limiting beliefs, limiting beliefs are thoughts that I'm not good enough, I don't have enough money, I don't have enough this and that, and all of those things. So if you want to ensure that your child is getting the all four supports, then you have to take care of yourself, which is the fifth pillar. It's the mindset and, mothers or primary caregivers all over well-being, because that will ensure you are, because I always say, you are the horse and your child is the jockey. Okay. Yes, your child can tell you where to go and whatnot. But if the horse is like, I'm not moving that direction, that jockey doesn't have any power. Okay. So mom is the horse, so she needs to take care of herself, which is the fifth pillar. And that's how I have seen working on so much success on my own, career, personal life, emotional well-being, for my son's development, because now he's going to a regular school. He has 4 or 5 best friends. He's going to one of their, birthday tomorrow. He's fully verbal. He can communicate everything that he needs. Yes, he has some differences, some different personality traits, and that's okay, because as long as he's not harming himself or others, as long as he understands the do's and don'ts and he's being independent, I think that's good enough success for all of us.
You also talk about gut health and the scientific evidence for the link between gut health and brain development and the relevance to this topic, autism. Can you expand a little bit more on that?
Yes, sure. I would love that, because here's the thing. Our brain is the first brain. The second brain is the gut, and the third is our heart. So what happens is, the reason why, the diet and the detox part is so much important, because our gut is actually the abdomen part, where we are hosting our liver, our stomach, our, intestines. Okay. So in every human being's gut, there are microbial community. Okay. We don't understand that. We might not know about that. So the microbial community is very much connected to how we produce certain neurotransmitters. For example, serotonin, melatonin, dopamine, tyrosine, and all of those things. Okay. So the gut is producing number one, and the gut microbiome. Okay. They're producing number one, 80% of the neurotransmitters that the brain is functioning on. Okay. 80%. The second thing our gut does is it acts a lot prominently in the immunity. okay, immune boosting or immunity power, because a lot of our kids have, ongoing infection after infection after infection that's happening because the child's immunity power is not really strong enough. Okay, so that's the second thing that happens. Then the third thing is your child, if he's having mood issues, sleep problems, hyperactivity, or sensory issues, being severely picky eater, cannot accept certain texture, even water, feeding them water, making them drink water is really hard because they have textural problem with the water. And we all know water is such an important thing. It's the most important thing for human life, right? So all of these things, they are connected to gut health. Okay, so in the gut, there are the good, I would say, just for making it easy to understand, let's just stick to good microbes versus bad microbes. Okay, so the good microbes will help the brain produce all of the neurochemicals. It will give you the immunity, it will give you the good sensation, very less sensory issues and whatnot. Just neurotypical people, the things that they enjoy comes a lot because of their gut issues are a lot less than our kids. Okay, so essentially what happens is when the gut has problems like leaky gut syndrome, or we might have dysbiosis, or our kids might produce little enzymes that they cannot digest the food properly, then that's when the problem starts. So the reason why my son, let's take his example, why my son's mood was so bad was because he was not producing enough serotonin, dopamine. And why wasn't he producing enough serotonin and dopamine? Because his gut was imbalanced, his nutrition was not on par, his detoxification channels were all blocked up because he was highly constipating. He would maybe poop after 5-6 days, and it was very hard for him. Okay. So when I started working on the diet and cleaning up his gut and the microbiome stability, suddenly he started feeling more happy. He started smiling. He started sleeping better. So here's the thing. When the gut is working properly, it will produce enough serotonin to the body. So the serotonin gives you the mood, the good understanding, the calmness, okay, as well as dopamine as well. So when at nightish time in the evening, what happens is this serotonin is transferred to melatonin, which helps us to go to sleep. So if your child is not sleeping until 3 a.m., 4 a.m., that's because he is not producing enough melatonin, which is actually producing the gut. So you don't have to give him melatonin from outside. Just focus on the root cause of why he has less melatonin, less serotonin, less of this and that, and working through that. So I have seen, and I don't like supplementing that much as well, because a lot of the supplements, they're synthetic in nature, okay? And our body doesn't understand how to process them. So what happens is our kids are just giving off really expensive pee because most of the supplements that we are feeding them are just going out. So what happens is these days we when we open the social media, I get bombarded with this spectrum. I don't want to name names. This supplement is helping kids to do this and that. I'm like, wow. Because when I am a mother who has very little energy, okay, I want things to be easy, and that's okay. That's human brain. We're not shaming anybody. So I'm a very tired mother. There is this woman who's saying like this $50, $60, $100 supplement is gonna give him all the nutrients because I cannot feed him. Okay, so let me just give the supplement. The supplement, being synthetic in nature, is doing nothing to the body. The problem is still there. So I learned what? This is not helping. So I will give up because I'm thinking this is not helping. The reason why it's not helping is because it's not solving the main problem. Okay. So 95% research have already, proven it very eloquently. 95% of kids on the spectrum, their gut is imbalanced, in some shape or form. And we have seen in our own practice as well that working on the gut healing like drastically changes the child's behavior, mood, lifestyle conditions, and sometimes they even start talking just like 5 or 6 months on working on the protocol that I have built. So the gut is very much crucial for your child's physiological health, emotional health, mental health, and brain development, because they are like two-way system. It's totally connected to each other. Research has proven that. My own experience has proven that. The way that we work with other, kids, we are seeing that just, results repeating itself enough times that I can say that yes, it's very much connected. Work on your child's gut. That will also help your child to overcome picky eating and sensory issues. Okay. I hope I'm not wording a lot.
No, absolutely. This is fascinating. So there's a lot of things you spoke about now, but for a parent that feels overwhelmed by all of this and microbes and gut health and the second brain and all of these things, where can that parent start?
Oh, wow. Okay. So I don't want them to go through the overwhelm that I have been through, trying 100 different things and then maybe failing 99 times. Because very few people have that why. For me, the why was I don't want, because I had lived in experience. Many parents don't have the lived in experience. Their life has been maybe pretty good. They did not struggle that much at school, not much of bullying, maybe 1 or 2 kids and here and there. Their life was quite okay for them, so they do not understand the difference life creates for a child who is not understanding the world. So the reason why I had the audacity to keep on trying 100 times and failing 99 times and standing back again, because that one time worked. Let's focus on that. So here are the 5, 6 things that I highly suggest to all of my, community members to start with. And the number one thing is you first. The oxygen mask needs to go to you first, okay? Because that's how solution will come to you. Otherwise, solution might be just in front of you. You will not recognize it because your eyes are glazed over with the exhaustion of years of, stress and anxiety and not being able to sleep. So you first. That's how I was able to overcome a lot of the challenges, because I worked on my own body first, on my own diet first, on my own change first, because I was like, if I cannot stop eating bread, white, fluffy, yummy breads, I cannot force my son to not eat it because I know it's not helping him or me. So I had to work on myself. So you first, as in we talk a lot about working on the mother health, physical, mental, emotional health. Then a lot of the mindset work, a lot of belief rewiring needs to be there, because we are told, I am helpless. The doctor has the answer. The therapist has the answer. The X, Y, and Z has the answer or the resource. I don't have. So this is not actually a reality. It's the person's thought making him or her believe it's the reality. I hope that's making sense. So the thing is, I may believe I'm poor, I'm not educated enough, I'm not, physically, mentally, emotionally, all of those things, I'm not capable enough, but that's not the real truth. It's my way of perceiving the world that's very much essential to be worked on. So working on your health and well-being first will actually give you more acute understanding of where to go. Okay, you can put on a nice GPS in your car, but the car needs to have petrol or gas so that it can move. So your taking care of yourself is the petrol for the car, And then you put the GPS and all of those things, and then you go. Okay. So that's number one. And I would say I have already, alhamdulillah, published with you guys many articles on the mother mindset, okay, and mental health. So I would suggest them to go through those articles that have been published with you guys. That's one thing. The second thing is gut health. And even though it sounds hard to do, it's actually pretty easy. It's pretty basic. So the first thing that you need to ensure that, since I said about, good microbiome and bad microbiome, so we need to work on improving and increasing the good microbiome. So good quality probiotics is, I would say, it's not just supplement, it's essential. Because every single human being, just like our body is made of water, you don't need a scientific research to prove you need water. Your body will tell you need water, right? Your body will tell you need food. So the same way, gut microbiome is that much important for a human body, especially neurodiverse kids. So working on their gut health, giving them good quality probiotics, probiotic-rich food, fermented food, yogurt, kefir, and all of those things. And also trying to cook your own food at home with love, not eating outside that much, packaged foods, say no to packaged foods, because packaged food, they are, they're not really food, they're just mimicking to be like food. Yes, they taste very good because they have been modified. They have been experimented to make sure that it tastes good to you. And just because something is available to you does not make it really healthy for your body. So you need to learn on the basics of choosing the good food, okay? The third thing is, I would say, working from animal milk to plant-based milk. So a lot of the time we are being told that our kids need milk. So here's the thing. Many of the milk that we, purchase on, in the grocery shops, they are not from the right sources. They are highly processed, homogenized, antibiotics and whatnot. So that milk, it's actually causing a lot of internal problem for the child. Okay. Some of us might know that the casein of cow's milk or animal milk, the child cannot digest the casein properly, and that's how casomorphin is produced. And casomorphin, as the name suggests, has morphine-like capacity. It induces anxiousness, anger, irritability in the child. So many of the parents have actually seen a lot of improvement when they shift from animal milk to cow milk. And if your child is highly addicted to cow milk, that's one of the reasons why you should, because you understand, why will the child be addicted to a food? Because addiction in any form is actually not good. Even if you chug in water, like you are supposed to drink 8 to 10 glasses of water. If you drink 40 glasses of water, I don't think that's healthy for you. So working on that, I have seen it works tremendously, and it's a very easy thing to do. You can start doing it right today. I have a method, we call it ratio method. So you start by, let's say if you take a glass of water, okay? So you add 4/5 of the water with cow's milk and then 1% plant-based milk. Give him 2 or 3 days. After 2 or 3 days, make it 3/5 and 2/5. So slowly what you are doing is you are increasing the plant-based milk and decreasing the animal-based milk. And then someday, very soon, your child can be, happily having the plant-based milk. That's the third thing that I have seen. It's very easy to do right away. The fourth thing is to buy and, stock up, and you eat yourself natural food. So if I am eating chips from the packet, obviously my son would want that. If I'm drinking Coke instead of water, obviously he would want that, because I myself am eating or drinking it. Why should I stop him doing it? So we all know they are not really good for your blood sugar and whatnot. The fifth thing I would say is work on both your and your kids' sleep improvement, because when your child sleeps better, and plays outdoors, a lot of physiological stamina and, detoxification and health comes from just the sleep part. So working on the sleep. So as a recap, I would say first working on yourself. Give yourself the time and the grace, the support, the love. Make yourself powerful. The second thing is to work on your child's gut health via, probiotic or changing food and all of those things. Third thing is changing from animal milk to plant-based milk. The fourth thing is natural food, and if needed, sometimes natural superfood or superfood-based supplements if it's very essential. And the fifth is to work on the sleep naturally. Okay, all of those 5 things, I'm pretty much sure it will take 1 to 2 weeks, maybe, to get a grasp on them and start working on them. And you would see massive changes in your child within a few weeks. And then you would be like, oh my God, I was living under the rock. Okay.
What would you say are some barriers that would prevent parents from seeking support and getting help?
Wow, incredible question. The first thing that I think is the barrier is your own, the parent's own mindset and belief. What's possible for the child, what's not possible for the child. So, and I would say, without getting into professional conflict, what happens is most of the time when we go to the pediatrician and we get our kid diagnosed, then we ask them, will my son ever speak? And they're like, there is a 90% chance that he won't. So will my child do X, Y, and Z? Can he have a regular life? Probably not. We just have to accept him the way he is. That's acceptance. If you are a good parent, you would accept his problems and disabilities and difficulties and work through that and manage that. That, to me, is the number one reason why millions and thousands of our kids who have the potentiality to have a rocking, successful life does not reach that. Because the child cannot make the choices for himself. He is dependent on the parent and care providers. And the care providers and the parents, they have, number one, the authority telling them a lot of the things that's not possible. And then their own mindset and their own, emotional trauma-based responses. Remember, we were talking about not seeing the problem? That's the mindset issue blocking them, my own belief system. Because what happened was I thought I don't have the capacity. I thought I don't know how to raise kids, let alone a neurodiverse. Yes, I'm a neurodiverse myself, and my life was hell. So probably I would do very poor in the business. So let's just wait for the pandemic to go away, everything to open, so that I can send my son to care facilities where they will teach him and they will work through him. The thing is, that was my limiting belief based on how I was raised, how much self-esteem I had, what I believed was possible for me. I was the barrier for my son. So when I removed myself from his journey and gave him the support, he actually did not need any therapies. He just became potty trained, self-feeding, being independent, speaking on his own without any form of therapies, because I was working hardly on his internal development. Okay. So I would say these are the 2 things. Number one is the misconceptions when we first get diagnosed. So I wish, let's say there is X, Y, and Z. She got her first diagnosis. She comes to any one of us, and then we tell her that your child's life is not over, okay? Because your child still can speak, still can be independent, still can have a really awesome life, just like you. here are the 5 things that you just focus on and work through. It will take some time. It will happen. It won't happen like in 1 or 2 months, because child development, it's a process. It's a journey. I did not come here, or any 18-year-old didn't go from 1 year to 18 year in 18 months or 18 seconds, right? So it takes some time. So that much time needs to be given to the process, and it definitely will work out, because I truly believe, and I have seen this to be happening over and over again, is the diagnosis is there to teach us the need of the child. It's not the end of the child. The diagnosis tells us the need of the child. It's not the end of the child. So it's telling me there is a need for his, brain support. So where is the brain connected? Connected with the gut. What's happening in the gut? Lots of these biases. Let's work through that. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. I loved how you said that a diagnosis just points to the needs of the child. It's not the end. It's the start of the road, essentially. It was beautifully put.
Exactly. And a lot of the times, I would just, spin off that. So it happens is, oh my God, the road is so long. You are feeling the road is so long because you don't have the energy. That's why you need to work on yourself as well, so that, oh, it's 500 miles, let's run. I will reach there sometime. Maybe in the next 5 months or 10 months, but I'll reach there. That enthusiasm comes from a healthy body and a healthy mind. Enthusiasm, motivation does not come from a non-healthy, unhealthy, or less healthy body and mind. Okay?
What are some of the mistakes you've made on your journey?
Oh, wow. Mistake number 1 was to believe that they know the answer. I don't know. They know my son better than I do my son. That's number 1. Number 2 is I initially did it, but then I rectified it, trying to do everything on my own. Trying to, because I'm like, if I have, not everybody has a PhD, I understand that. But what happens is we have our own limitations. We have our own budgets to work through. We have our own financial, economical, social, and cultural things to work through. Because as a Muslim and a Southeast Asian at that, our culture has a lot of limiting beliefs about autism and, kids with special needs. So a lot of the time what happened was the third mistake, I would let people to demotivate me and to tell me that nothing much will happen. You're just wasting your time. I have seen X, Y, and Z to be exactly what he was when he was 3 years old. Now he is 28. Now he's 36. Now he's 45. He's still the same. So sometimes I let them to rob the belief out of it. That's the third thing. And the fourth thing is to believe in my limitations of how much I can do, how much money I have. Because here's the thing, you can find support, you can find healing, you can work through a lot of this, diet, detox, lifestyle pieces. You don't need a lot of money. You just need to be smart. And you need to have, follow through somebody who can teach you all of those smart shortcuts. There is no shortcut in life. What I'm saying is you need to know that the possibility that's possible. So we all make mistakes, and that's okay. The fifth and the last mistake would be to stay in the mistake and not do anything about it. Oh, I made a mistake. Oh my God, I fed him chips, nuggets for the last 3 years. I'm a bad mom. Okay, since I fed him 3 years, let's continue this. Because it happens, sometimes we feel like, you start to read a book, you're not liking it that much, but you spend a lot of money on the book, $20, $25, and everybody is saying that this book is our, number 1 bestseller. And you're like, I have read halfway through it. might as well push myself to finish the book. If you don't like the book and you are essentially torturing yourself to complete it, just because you started a mistake does not mean you have to end the mistake. You started a mistake in the middle point. Oh my God, that was a mistake. Okay, I have to forgive myself. It's the hardest thing to do, self-forgiveness, because nobody does that for us. Nobody tells us, Mom, it's okay. You did a mistake. You are just human. You did the best you could with the resources you had. Now you could do better. Let's do it together.
Love that. That's amazing. Tasniva, do you have any parting words for parents? You want to point them in the space of resources, perhaps, where they can get to know more about you and your work? Anything you want to end off on?
Yeah, love that. So the first thing that I want you to take away today is, as I said, your child's diagnosis is the way of saying that there is a need. It's not the end of your child's life. The second other thing is you need to find out why you have certain beliefs of what is possible and what is not possible for you or your husband or your child or anybody that's affecting your child's development. Okay. The third thing is to not, we were talking about just now, like we started a journey, maybe that's not the right journey, that's not working or helping. There's no point in continuing the journey just because you started the journey and just because you are middle of the journey, just because you spend maybe 10,000, 20,000, 50,000 on this journey. The fourth thing is to forgive. Forgive yourself. Forgive God. Because sometimes we have a lot of anger towards God. Like, why did you give me a child like this? Right. So we have a beautiful saying in both Bible and in our Quran as well. So it's like God doesn't give you any responsibility that you cannot shoulder. So rather than getting angry on God or yourself or your partner or maybe the advocates or the pediatrician or the society in general, it's not going to take us anywhere positive. Blaming and guilt tripping and shaming is low vibe. It will keep you in the low vibe. Coming out of it, okay, nobody wants to help me, fine, I'll do it alone. Why? Because on my deathbed, I want to rest in peace, saying to myself, like, okay, now that I'm going to my creator, my son is okay with himself. Even if nobody takes care of him, I did my best to ensure that he gets the best. And that's, I would say, it's my responsibility. And if you guys want to have free resources, I have made a lot of in-depth videos and trainings and lives. I do every week. I come in live. So you can follow me in my Instagram at autismsuccessacademy.com. That's my website, sorry. That's my website. And also my social handles are all the same, Autism Success Academy. Okay. Or you can search my name, Dr. Tasnuba. I have a lot of blog posts, video trainings, written posts. I'm still publishing with many top, magazines and platforms, especially you guys. So working through that, reading through that, sending me a DM or an email, like, hi, Dr. T, this is because my people loves calling me Dr. T because a lot of the time they don't know how to pronounce the full name, Tasnuva, so they're like Dr. T. That has become my moniker. So you can shoot me a DM saying that, Dr. T, this is what I'm following through and having the trouble on. How can I help my child? And I would surely guide you to the right direction. And we have a very beautiful academy where we work with kids and their mom. We call it Autism Transformation and Success. That's our program. So that comes with a variety of payment plans, a variety of tiers depending on your financial condition. Because I understand everybody doesn't have thousands of money, but I always wanted to create a platform whereby at least most parents can get maximum bangs for their bucks, if that makes sense. So whatever financial, economical, or social platform you are, you would get something from our offerings, inshallah. And we have something going on called summer school, which is a very affordable version of our full program. I wanted to give something to my community back. In the course of the last 3 years, I have seen a lot of improvement. I have worked with hundreds of kids, alhamdulillah. So I'm like, it's my time to give them back. So you can work through on that as well. So summer school, so DM me and say, whatever questions, or you want to know more about our programs, just DM me, shoot me a DM or an email at Autism Success Academy. Okay. I hope it was helpful for our community.
Fantastic. Tasnuva, Dr. T, thank you so much for your time. I think a lot of parents got a lot of value from this. We really appreciate it.
I would say I am emotional. It was an honor to be here, and I hope some of our community members who's listening to this and who stayed until the end gets out and start doing the work, because there is no point in just listening to all the experts and sitting on the information, like, let me mull this over. Time is running away. So work through your own belief system, work through the information that you get, and one step at a time. You will reach there. We all did, and you will do too. You're not alone.
And on those inspirational notes, that was Dr. Tasnuva Tuna, or what she calls herself Dr. T. She's the founder and CEO of Autism Success Academy. Thank you so much for listening to this talk. There are many other talks at the Autism Parenting Summit, and we'll see you there.